Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, I hope you enjoyed the conversation and thanks so much for coming back. But for everyone out there who's new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer, soda, water, coffee in the fridge. Cheers to everyone out there on the internet today. Playing in a deathcore band and navigating to what you're doing now, which is a lot more, you called, I forget what, there was like a really
Depressive
funny
Suicidal Stoner Doom.
That's what it was. Say that one more time.
Yeah. Depressive Suicidal Stoner Doom.
Yes. So it's, loud doom with like more like yelly vocal, like type stuff, which is cool because I feel like I don't know why there aren't like more bands in the genre that like do that. Maybe I don't like listen to enough music in that genre, but it's like cool to hear that mixture of things. It just makes it sound a little bit grosser and makes it sound like it's not so much like it just gives it its own thing. But that seems like a really simple thing. Like what was the story behind that? Like, because I know like coming out of like doing deathcore and that those are two wildly different things, but nobody can blame you for not wanting to be in a deathcore band anymore. I'm kidding. Whatever music you like.
Deathcore has a soft spot in my heart. There's a buddy of mine down here, Ace, who will stuff me into a locker for my enjoyment of deathcore. But he, like, in 2011 graduated college, and like I answered a Craigslist ad actually to join the band. They were like, we need a vocalist for our deathcore band. And I was like, well, I like, death metal and deathcore. All right. So like I tried out and we played in that band called Demise of the King was the name of the band. I think it might still be on Spotify. I'm not sure. It's definitely on Bandcamp. So like I did vocals for this deathcore band for 3 to 4 years or so. And like did like low, like death metal vocals. Not as much in the like the high screams and not really much in like the raspy yells that I kind of do now. More gutturals and death metal traditional like Cookie Monster vocals.
Sure.
And so when that band kind of fizzled out and fell apart, I was just kind of, I don't even know why I wanted to play like doom or like riff based like music, but I was like, man, like somebody had shown me Dope Smoker by Sleep, and I was like, this is fun. Like this is so just like thick and just like, it grooves and you just kind of like put it on and you just kind of bang your head, right? And so I was just kind of jamming these riff ideas in my head, and I had joined up with an old acquaintance of mine was getting a band started and they needed a bass player, so I was showing up to play bass with them, and like me and the drummer, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but it came out that we both were into like doom at least a little bit. And I was like, dude, do you want to come over before practice and like jam some like doom riffs with me? And so that's kind of where the band formed is out of that. And so whenever we were like trying to figure out what we wanted to do vocally at the time in like 2015, it was all clean singing. Because I was listening to like a lot of Electric Wizard and The Sword and more like stoner rock stuff and not quite as aggressive. And so I was doing clean singing, and I want to say it was probably in like 2017 or so, like somebody turned me on to the band Weed Eater. And at that point I was like, oh shit, this is it, man. Like, because Weed Eater, Dixie Dave's vocals are very much like mine. Like I 100% will own that I am totally ripping off Dixie Dave. Like he's the dude to me that like mastered the like, this guy's done nothing but smoke cigarettes and eat gravel like for 10 years and is now doing vocals for this band, like this raspy, like drunken hollering. It's great. And so I was like, man, this like that vocal delivery is really cool. I like it. I can kind of do it. And so we started writing a little bit more in that style. And it was a lot easier on me to do vocals. Weirdly, it's easier for me to do those kind of harsh vocals than it is for me to try and clean sing and figure out good melodies and create like things that sound nice than it is just to hoot and holler and make a big ruckus. So so that's really, it's more just a function over fashion kind of thing as far as why we're doing the harsh vocals.
I think it functions more in a live environment too, because a lot of the bands that lean on the cleaner side of a vocal delivery in the doom genre, it's a real, you never hear those guys in a live environment because like you have to sing so quiet to get the right sort of feeling while, you know, everybody's having like this pissing contest of who can be the loudest band that night, right? Which is tight. I'm into it. But it's like these two things don't work. So it's like, and like I'm somebody, it's like I like dynamics in music, but I also like when things kind of like make more sense and like are a little bit more like unique somehow. Like I don't think that like everything that I interact with creatively needs to be like, oh, I've never heard anything like this before, because that's just not the case ever, really. But I was like, I think that it's cooler to have that. Like, I think in general, I just like grosser sounding music, no matter what, unless it's like Bjork, you know, give me something very like very nice or like very gross. I don't like when it mixes.
Even Bjork, right on that Medulla album where she got Mike Patton and did like most of the stuff was just vocals, or like vocals with manipulation. Like there's Mike Patton's got some really good, gross, like deep vocal, like where is the line with you? And then that fucking the boom, boom, boom. You're like, oh, that's
sure.
Awesome. But yeah, no, I'll take back that I love that word, the gross, just gross music. Oh, that's connecting with me on a spiritual level.
Yeah, I think that there's like a going back to this whole nostalgia thing. Like the first time, I mean, you mentioned being a Slipknot fan. I was a Slipknot fan in middle school as well. We're probably pretty close to the same age, honestly.
I'm 32. I'll dox my age. I'm 32. I turned 33 in October.
I'm 35. So I'm just
a couple years around the same age. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. And I remember the first time like hearing that first Slipknot album. Like I had heard other things before that were like heavy, but that was something that was just so gross and like ugly about it that I was like, this is like uncomfortable. And I don't know if I should be like listening to this, but I love it.
Not to turn it into a Slipknot podcast, but so was, I'd be interested. Was Slipknot the first, we'll call it just aggressive music band for you?
No way.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my parents were pretty young when they had me, and my dad was a metalhead. So like I grew up with like Megadeth and Metallica and Anthrax, Cannibal Corpse cassette tapes laying around. Like, don't look at that, like that kind of stuff. So like, you know, by the time that like, whenever like Slipknot's album came out, like I remember that was after like Fear Factory put out Obsolete, and I remember hearing that, and like to this day, that's still probably like, air quote, like the heaviest album I've ever heard in my life. Quite maybe, you know, I mean, it's all digital and computers and stuff, but that's like, Jesus Christ, it's right? So like that album,
take the humanity out of it.
So like intense, right? And that was pre Slipknot. So no, I had definitely heard like other extreme music, but there was still something like really
interesting,
something like really cool and just like different about it. Like all of the that like Ross Robinson intentional leave-in, like the gurgling and the vocal production and all of the yelling and things aren't quite perfect. It's like, geez, what's happening? You know, it sounded so like vulnerable and like imperfect, which was the complete opposite of that Fear Factory shit, right? Everything's so meticulous.